Welcome to the Tempo Storm Deck Spotlight Series featuring Aggro Mage. This familiar deck makes a return in the Boomsday due to some new powerful additions. The list we're currently featuring is from the Mage God himself, Apxvoid. Cards such as Celestial Emissary and Cosmic Anomaly give the deck more burst damage and provide bodies. Shooting Star allows for you to remove your opponent's small minions in order to snowball the board. The only other new card that this list runs is Stargazer Luna. This new legendary minion fits the Aggro Mage archetype, as all those cheap cards allow us to draw through a lot of our deck in a single turn. The new version of Aggro Mage only runs a few new cards from the Boomsday Project. As mentioned previously, we're running 4 of them: Cosmic Anomaly, Celestial Emissary, Shooting Star, and Stargazer Luna. All these cards fit very well in Aggro Mage as they either fit the burn or cycle plan. To help make room, the current iteration of Aggro Mage runs less secrets than before. Instead of running 4 or 5 copies of secrets, it now runs 3. The reason for this is that, aside from your other cards being better, running less secrets also makes your draws later in the game more consistent when looking for burn. Aggro Mage spends the early turns developing a board and getting minion damage, then they burn you down with spells in the later turns. In the first few turns, the deck aims to develop minions such as Mana Worm, Arcanologist, and Kirin Mage. Playing these minions alongside secrets such as Counterspell and Explosive Runes allows for you to push damage towards your opponent's face while not needing to interact with their board. Don't hesitate to use spells such as Frostbolt to remove your opponent's minions in order to ensure that your early minions stay alive. The more the game progresses, the more your game plan will transition from a damage them with minions game plan into a spell-based burn plan. Use what's left of your burn spells to kill off your opponent, and then direct as much damage towards their hero as you can. Typically, you only want to kill the minions that pose massive threats. Aluneth is a card that can be helpful in these situations, as it allows for us to cycle through our deck and find our damaging spells as fast as we can. Aggro Mage doesn't really have many alternate win conditions, as the deck features a pretty linear playstyle, but in aggro matchups or the mirror, you should aim to take control of the board and try to hold on to it. In these matchups, don't think of your burn spells as burn, but think of them as removal spells. You want your minions to stick and apply continuous pressure. Aggro Mage has a lot of core cards, and thus it's fairly difficult to find cards to remove for tech cards. Typically all the cards in this deck are pretty important, but there are a few that can be removed if need be. If you're facing off against a lot of control decks and the meta feels much slower, consider removing both copies of Shooting Star and replace them with a Counterspell and a Pyroblast. The Counterspell makes it so control decks will have a harder time to interact with your board, and this will allow you to push some more damage than you would previously. If used properly, you can set up the Counterspell the turn before your opponent aims to clear the board. This will make it very difficult for your opponent to navigate how they wish to use their resources. Pyroblast can be added for additional burst, and this can be a fantastic finish against slow control decks. Pyroblast isn't featured in the current list as it's too slow to play against combo or aggro decks. It's significantly more difficult to tech against aggro decks for Aggro Mage, as the matchups are already fairly bad. If a deck applies a lot of pressure and is better at sticking boards, Aggro Mage has always struggled to interact with this, aside from when it randomly generates removal. The two choices that you could run in order to combat aggro decks more effectively are Mirror Image and Frost Nova. While these cards don't fit the Aggro Mage game plan, they can help stall for a few turns in order for you to either stick your minions or to throw burn spells at your opponent. If you see the need to add these cards into your deck, you should consider removing your Celestial Emissary and 1 copy of Arcane Intellect, as these cards aren't very good against fast decks. Thank you for watching another installment into the Tempo Storm Deck Spotlight series. We hope you're enjoying the Boomsday Project as much as we are. As always, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel in order to see more of our Hearthstone YouTube content. Till next time.